Yeah, hey. Shout to Terrapin, got me my new bubbler, got me high in here. Yeah. Yeah. Hey. Oh, we, Noel. Hey, look, hey.
So, the type of life I lived you wouldn't think is real. I've been outside of the country without a record deal. I'm on the 8th floor rolling up the finest kill, and she don't smoke, but when she chill with me, then she say she will. I'm in the cut like a sniper waiting to pop off. I'm taking tops off, I'm ghost pepper, they just hot sauce. Some of y'all got this shit backwards like you crisscross. Wanna be gangsters, but you won't never be no my boss. I'm one deep in my 9-8, rolling them ooey while the ox tape playing Sade. I'm feeling groovy like a Austin Powers movie. Do you dig, you dug? Schooling niggas like this the ball and this the club. Take a swing like a nigga that can't fight. It's 80249 until my soul take flight. Proud of my progress, I've been plotting since the mongoose bites. Flip phone, skate city on the Friday nights. Tall tees, baggy jeans, but the spizzites clean. No, ask my whole middle school, you wasn't fresher than me, ho. But that's the past, I'm focused on the cash. Gotta get it fast, I gotta blow before my daughter knows that she don't see her dad. 5'8" giant from the west, and I spit like an AR-15, grab a vest. But I'd rather run the fade like my name, run our test. Cause ever since a snotty nose, I've been good with my left. Don't bro me if you don't know me, don't reach for my blunt. Don't you put me on freshman covers, that's posing with lunch. I figured out why they was sleeping on me, it's from all them sedatives. Them pills got them mumbling, that's why none of it's making sense. Yeah.
Yo, welcome back. You are inside the mix. Welcome back to Black Fathers Foundation Conversations. My first guest, I'm just going to roll right with this, okay? My first guest is a hip-hop artist. We just heard his music right there, Myell Westcoast. What's good with you, brother? Welcome aboard, man.
What's up, Barry? How's it going?
Oh, it's going well, man. Go, man. I'm living well, man. That was fire, man. We said this after back in the back room, but man, you had me feeling my younger days. So you have combined some old school with some new school. So I appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate you. Thanks for the love.
Hey, so our second guest is going to be Dr. Rasean Hodge. He's currently the medical director at First Choice Pain Care since 2011. Medical director at Elite Pain Care since 2010. Medical director at Odyssey Healthcare in Decatur, Georgia. And man, you got like a couple of them, man. Medical director at Premier Chronic Pain Care since 2009. Bro, you working, dog? You working?
Bro, I got the calluses to prove it. What's up, Barry? Myell, man. Y'all dug the track,
What's
bro.
up? What's up, Hodge?
Bro.
Thank you.
You're happy to be here, fellas, man. Barry, man, thanks for the invite, man. Black Fathers.
Oh, much love to you, brother. Much love.
Yeah.
And I got so excited off Myell's music, man. I didn't get a chance to roll out with him too much, man. It was like he's 3+ years in the Colorado cannabis industry, cannabis retail manager in Denver, lead joint roller for Kaiser Rose. Man, you want to tell me more about that one, man? The lead.
So Kaiser Rose, we just switched over to we're Malik hand rolls now. So we are 1.8 hand roll joints, all bud, no shake. No machines, just my hands.
Just your hands.
Woo. Yeah,
y'all get it in. You got some calluses too.
I would love one of your artesian rolls, sir. Myell, I would love one of your artesian rolls, about 3.5 grams, sir.
Oh, I can do that. I can do that for sure. I can do that.
Got the dimensions all worked out. And last but not least, Alphonso Tucky Blunt Jr. He's a father, he's a husband, hard worker, he's a hustler. Tucky is a true testament to walking your path, co-owner of both Proud Papa's Clothing and Blunts and More Dispensary, is a 5th-generation Oakland native that has opened the first dispensary under Oakland's Cannabis Equity Program. What's up, Tucky? How you feeling, bro?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for having me, Myell. That was dope. Doc, what's up, my family? Barry, thank y'all for having me. Yeah. Let's get to it, man. But no, thank y'all for having me, Myell. That was super dope track. Super duper dope. I liked it.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Hey, listen, one of the first things I want to ask, and this is one of I have to ask this question, and I'm gonna start off with you first, Doc. How did you get into the industry, man?
Oh, well, a year before, I had a bad neck injury, bro. I broke my neck in 2012. Uh, so I'm pretty new to cannabis. I abstained from it, you know, didn't do. I'm a big suburban guy, just say no. Nancy Reagan, the McGruff coloring books. That was me in fourth grade. So I just avoided it, even in college, I avoided it. Then in 2012, I ran into a guy's chest playing basketball and busted up my C4 and 5. And from there, I had a fusion. I failed the opioid therapy. I was on benzos. If you guys don't know what benzos are, that's Xanax, Xannies, Valium, Klonopin. I was taking Ambien because I had terrible insomnia. I was in a chair for like 4 months. Of course, depressed, mind, body, and soul deteriorating. And then I'm going to these neurologists and they're giving me the answer. Well, like, at least you're not paralyzed. At least you're not dead. And I'm like, bro, that's not helping me.
At least.
Not helping me.
Yeah, that's not what I want to hear.
Then a year after that, I ended up becoming more symptomatic. And I was facing another surgery. And I was like, look, man, it took me 8 months to get off this Ambien. I don't want to do that again. The Percocets, the side effects of the Percocets and the Roxys, the constipation, the numbness of your mood. You feel me? It causes more insomnia. You get quick tolerance when you take opioids. So, that 3 a day, you need 5 a day the next day, then you need 7 a day. And of course you can't get it, you can't get it because the doctor's hands are tied. He understands that tolerance does happen. He understands that, he or she understands that, you're going to get physical dependence from it. So half the country found the answer to chronic pain, and that was cannabis. So I decided to give it a shot. And here I am. And I knew nothing. So this is very important. I knew nothing. You can't Google this stuff. You don't understand oral formulations of cannabinoids. You don't understand inhaled formulations of cannabinoids. You don't understand ratios. You have that horrible experience with edibles. You don't know why. So that just sparked like, look, this rage in me and more of a passion. I found passion after I broke my neck. Like, look, if I can help others not ever feel the way I felt, I'm good. I'm good for the rest of my life. I don't want anyone to feel that alone, that abandoned by the healthcare system. Chronic pain is horrible, terrible to treat when you have nerve pain. When you have chronic pain, 99% of those patients are depressed. And we don't, in this country, we don't look at medicine comprehensively, mind, body, and soul. And cannabis kind of can help, with the mood, helps with chronic pain. Helps with, I have a poor appetite because I'm in pain all the time. That's the last thing I think about is food. This helps me increase my appetite. This helps me sleep. My sleep, not just sleep onset and sleep duration. I sleep longer with cannabis. And the head weighs 7 pounds, so I'm always fighting gravity. This is a quick way. I mean, we can discuss other delivery methods, but inhalation is still my favorite. And that's it. I don't want to talk too much, but that's how I kind of discovered cannabis. From then on, after that, I signed up here when we signed our bill in 2015 in Georgia. We're medical only here in Georgia, if y'all don't know. So in 2015, I became one of the physicians to qualify patients. In the early years, we only had 8 diseases, and my condition wasn't on the list. So I had to help, I had to lobby and talk to legislators and kind of educate them, use my voice as MD because they got to listen, because, cannabis was legal in my state, but chronic pain nor peripheral neuropathy, which I was suffering for, wasn't a condition. So I'm still can go to prison when it was legal in my state. So we lobbied, and chronic pain was added in 2018. PTSD was added in 2018, and now we have 17 applicable diseases. We're going to start growing cannabis here. The winner should be announced in a few weeks. It'll be world global news, what George is about to do. We have dispensaries already ready to go, 30 of them. Those applications should go live within a few weeks. And I believe, the South, especially Georgia, we're going to make a huge print on this cannabis market.
Look, I can already tell. Yeah. Thanks for the intro, man. Yeah. Myell, tell me how you got into the industry, brother.
So I got into the industry really. I started smoking kind of in college and trying to educate myself really what I liked and didn't like, because I didn't really have a med card. And I'm out here in Denver, Colorado. So med was around 2012, 2013. And I felt like really jumping through the hoops. I just kind of wanted to get my bud and do my thing. Kind of learned more about it through that. And then I had a friend that jumped into the industry. He ended up being a bud tender and then a manager. And then he kept trying to get me into space. And so one day I was just like, all right, cool, let's do it. Let me figure out how to get the paperwork in the batch. And been in love with it ever since. Really kind of just educating people on how to partake in the cannabis, and more than just getting high, and just really educating people on the plant.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. And Tucky, bring us home, man. Tell me how you got into the industry. I read your story, brother. So let me hear it. Let the folks out here hear it. The other fathers out there, the black men.
So I got into the industry, I want to say around 2 years old. I had 2 diaper bags. One was my diaper bag. One was not my diaper bag. I didn't know that. I have a picture where I ripped out everything in the other diaper bag. So it's been around me forever. But as far as me personally getting into selling cannabis, it was at age 16. I started smoking cannabis at age 13. But like I said, it's been around my whole family forever. It was never like while Doc was talking about, Dare and McGruff.
Yeah.
We laughed at Dare because we didn't, weed was normal to us. We never considered weed a drug. Weed was not coke. Weed was not heroin. You know what I'm saying? So that was a drug. Dope fiends use drugs. Weed wasn't a drug. I'm looking at people that are functional, doing their things, whatever, working careers, smoke as much weed as they want. So age 16, I started selling cannabis on the streets of Oakland, and also at where I worked. I started working at 13. I forgot about that. And once I got 16, I noticed everywhere I worked, they liked weed. So I would sell a bunch of my weed to my coworkers. I would make more work at work than at work. So I always wanted to do it as a business, though. It was never like, for me, I was never like a corner stander, like a D-boy, because I felt that advertised me going to jail. At the end of the day, I was doing something illegal. And if I put myself on a corner, that would put me in jail. So I always approached it differently to how I sold it. And I had a good run for about 8 years, no police interactions, made my name within Oakland and globally doing different things. I started selling weed pastries in 2002. I was known as the Cookie Man, shipping chocolate chips, oatmeal raisin, banana nut bread, carrot cakes all over the globe, just from Oakland everywhere. So I was cool. And then 2004 going into 2005, I had a son that was finna be born, my son Myell. And I was in between jobs. And I was like, man, I'm finna go to the turf. So I completely changed how I still did my thing, but I had too much time on my hands and needed some more money. And I went to the turf. Great run, but I got snitched on by one of my people I was buying weed from. So once he snitched on me, I went to jail, bailed out. And then I just didn't go back to the turf as far as like, okay, back to what I normally do. They gave me 10 years of felony probation, 4-way search clause for my first offense ever for $80 worth of weed. That's all I had on me at the time was $80 worth of weed. And I had a firearm, a registered firearm, registered to me, 10 years of felony probation, 4-way search clause. So I told my lawyer at the time, I was like, I'll just take whatever deal they offering, because if it's 10 years, I feel like I went, 8 years with no police interaction. I can go another 10. You know what I'm saying? I know why I got caught. You understand what I'm saying? So bailed out, continued doing my thing, went to Oaksterdam College, the weed school, 2008, graduated from there. Back when people was like, weed school, why? Why not? So I did that. I always wanted to own dispensaries forever and a day, but I was told back in the day that Black people would never own. Shout out to Keith Stevenson, who owns the first Black dispensary, Purple Heart in Oakland. But at that time, I didn't know he existed. And all the work I did in cannabis clubs, all that shit just never panned out. I never got hired as a manager. So I kind of gave up 2013. I said, fuck the weed shit. I'm just going to continue to detail cars and just continue to hustle, but not with weed. And 2017, I got a phone call from Mike Marshall, who sings on I Got Five on It. Good homeboy of mine. And he said, Tucky, you ever caught a case in Oakland? I was like, for weed? I'm like, for weed? I'm like, yeah, why? He says a program called the Equity Program that Oakland's doing. I know some people out of Atlanta. They need somebody that's caught a case in Oakland to fit the criteria to apply. So like I said earlier, I got snitched on. I caught a case and we didn't know that was going to pan out. We applied for the dispensary in December of 17. The drawing was January of 18. We won the license January of 18. So I became the first. Well, we wasn't open yet because we opened in November, but in November of 18, I became the first ex-felon for selling weed to now have a retail store selling weed.
Whoa. Look. Can you do that picture again?
So my cannabis thing came full circle. And even funnier, and I'll stop on this. The cop who arrested me in 2004, there's two arresting officers, Randy Wingate and Ursi Joyner. Ursi Joyner is now head of security and part owner of the High Times Cannabis Club in Oakland. And Randy Wingate, my arresting officer, who took me downtown and everything, helped me get all my convictions reduced, sealed, reduced, dismissed, and then not guilty pleas entered. So the same cop who arrested me in 2004 helped me to get my record cleared.
Wow.
This year. Yeah. So
wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's tight. That's tight. So that actually you let me in perfectly to my next question. Decriminalizing the industry. Now, Tucky, you went through it.
Mm-hmm.
Doc, I heard you speak on it, and Doc, I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there because I was part of that same campaign, the whole Nancy Reagan say no to drugs. McGruff came out to the school. I mean, look,
for sure.
I was more afraid of my father of anything. I was like, nah, man, I'm good. I'm more afraid of what my father's gonna do because my pops was old school. So if it was anything that he thought you might get mostly could be drugs. He was like a big hammer.
Yep.
Now he would drink. That was just some liquor. He was all good, but anything else, he's like, nah, man. That's crazy. So my question to you is, with these change of times, and Myell, I'm gonna bring you in on this, but I gotta ask these older cats first.
Yeah.
What do you see, kind of this change? What wave are you trying to ride at this point? Because Tucky, I see your success based on what they are doing. What do you see that's coming next?
So anything that's going to be coming next has to be done with people like us in the room. And I don't mean just in the room technically, I mean actually in the room helping craft what's going on. Legalization federally, I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. But it has to be done right. Yes, everybody should be out of jail for selling cannabis. I repeat, everybody that has any cannabis charges should be released. Do I believe that all of them should jump into the cannabis industry? No, some of them don't want to be in the cannabis industry. And if they do, train them to be in the cannabis industry. A lot of the things that people are talking about is like, okay, release them all and just put them in the space. Without training to be in the space, it does a disservice because then it will be, can I cuss? We'll be effed out of the space. You understand what I'm saying? So train people up. If they're going to be in there and do that, that's cool. Yes, release everybody. There's no reason anybody should be in jail for something that the government is getting paid off of. Period. Release them. But when you do the federal legalization with a lot of these corporate people, a lot of these lawmakers don't realize because they've never hustled before, they've never sold weed, they've never done anything of that nature. Half of them never even smoked, but they're making laws for this business. You cannot have that. So if federal legalization is going to be done any form of correct, it has to be done with people within the space in there helping craft the laws like Doc did down in Atlanta. You understand what I'm saying? But they look at us on the weed side different. We have to get more docs in them rooms. You know what I'm saying? More me's, more Myells. You know, that just has to happen to me.
And Tucky, before we're already getting comments on this. Can you tell us where your dispensary is and give us some information on how we can find you?
Oh, sorry about that. My store is in Oakland, California. It's called Blunts and More Dispensary in Oakland. It's directly across from the Oakland Coliseum, 701 66th Avenue. We're open Monday through Sunday right now, 10 to 7, but after 4:20, I think we're going from 9 to 9. That's it right there. What else can I tell you? Instagram is Blunts and More. And what else was? Oh, 420. I'm releasing 2 shoes, 420. Collab with Side Collective, a black-owned fashion designer. We're doing a shoe collab after 420. So
I'm a sneakerhead, so I'll be looking.
I mean, if I got time, I can go dig one out and show you the trick it does when we get time. But yeah, the shoe actually smokes. The shoe is called the Smoking Vulture. Actually smokes.
That's the after show. That's the after show.
Okay, for sure.
So Doc, and this is the perfect setup. Bring us home, man, because you were on the other side. I mean, Tucky said it best, where he was like, "They're not looking at the weed side of the business. You were part of the policy change. You were
I think that's like huge. You know, everyone like advocacy is the most important thing we all still can do. But you know, not just look federally. More importantly, is where you live. Only support the politicians that support the cannabis village, especially the cannabis caregivers. You know, a lot of us have known people that live in a city where cannabis is not decrimmed yet. You know, your county commissioners, you know, the power is the people. So you only support those that support us.
Facts.
So you got to talk to the Black Caucus. You know, every state, you know, has their own Black Caucus. So it doesn't make sense that once the governor signs a cannabis bill or law, then say something, because we don't understand that has to be a constitutional amendment. You just can't change law. Yep. It's over.
Yep.
So all this equity, you know, inclusion, it's just like goes on deaf ears. It's over. It's law.
Yeah.
So, you know, unfortunately, you know, most of the country, there's only like 12 more states that don't have a medical program. You know, there has not been true equity. So we have to applaud what New York has just done. You know, that looks the best for true equity. Illinois let everybody down. No Black ownership. So it's like, look, man, you know, for these next states, before that governor signs it, you have to put it into that bill, you know, once the Senate and the House agreed that there's going to be a percentage of Black ownership. There's going to be monies allocated directly to these communities that have been ravished with this drug war, this failed drug war. There's going to be a few Black nonprofits that get at least 1 to 2% of all your proceeds from dispensaries like Tucky and from all the cultivators. Because in a year or two, the landscape will change again. It's all going to be mergers and acquisitions.
Yep.
You know, there's only going to be a few big players, and Blacks will be managers, never owners. You dig what I'm saying? And then what
so you can see this already. You see the way this is going.
Tucky is doing. We don't need to talk about weed and talk about getting high. You know, understand we have an endocannabinoid system. It's more than just getting high. Like Myell is saying, if you want to try to get a job and it's inspired, you know, don't just smoke it, smell it, identify the terpenes, identify the ratio, you know, don't call it getting high. You don't say I'm taking a Tylenol, I'm getting high. No, you know, I'm medicating, you know, that helps break the stigma. That helps, you know, someone, you know, like, you know, a young guy, a young king, a young queen, get a job in a dispensary because, you know, they're calling it cannabis sativa and indica, and they know there's different hybrids. They know symptoms. They know there's bad effects, and they can just articulate that, you know, because it's right there. There's no school. And then lastly, the schools are picking up college degrees. I'm enrolled in the first master's program in cannabis by the University of Maryland. That's the first master's program in the world in cannabis. It's on cannabis therapeutics and science. So this soon, if you don't have an education behind it, you won't be able to talk about it. You dig what I'm saying?
That makes perfect sense.
About it.
Makes perfect sense.
It makes sense because the parents of the owners want their kids to understand the game. You dig what I'm saying? So when their time on the throne, they're great leaders in it already. You feel me?
Yep.
And then again, where are we going to be? Just managers. So get the degrees. Tell your kids, hey man, chemistry is great. You know, well, I want to be a doctor. Don't be a doctor. Doctors make some money. If you're doing it for the money, be a chemist. You're out in 4 years. You can't sell a pre-roll. You can't sell a gummy. You can't sell a beverage. You can't sell a topical. You can't even get it to production without a chemist checking the pesticides, checking for heavy metals, making sure the formulation's right, you know. And that young man, after 2 or 3 years, is making a couple $100,000 because of profit sharing. You see what I'm saying? You got to let the brothers know and sisters know, like, look, man, this is how you're going to get in. This is how you're going to get in, you know. Don't talk about touching. Only a few people are going to get to touch it, you know. Only stop it. Only a few people are going to get to touch it. M&As are coming. You know, focus on the ancillary business. Explore all the ancillary businesses, transportation, security, dispensaries, waste. You know, explore the hemp. Hemp is great. CBD is better than THC right now. We can do way more with CBDs. It's light years ahead. It's been legalized since the Farm Bill in 2018 or 19, whatever the year, 18, you know. CBD, there's no adverse events. There's no high. Doctors, the medical community, we always want to avoid adverse events. The adverse event comes from THC. So that's why more of the formulations are super high in CBD, a little bit of THC or something, you know, something to mitigate THC and the effects of it, the psychoactivity. But you just have to understand all that. And that's the future.
No, I love that. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Myell, you've had the benefit of not being jaded by some of the pre-education. Like, again, I was part of that generation where it was like everything was bad, 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 bad. You're part of a generation where it was not necessarily bad because, you know, folks were partaking. They just had to partake in secret. You tell me your views on how things are coming from a decriminalization process and your generation, and how it's affecting you.
Definitely. I think it's going to go in a way to where people are going to just want to be more knowledgeable of what they're putting in their body, more so than just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna smoke this indica, or I'm gonna smoke this sativa, or it's just a hybrid. Because even like I try and tell people when I was in the dispensary, is like, yeah, it's gonna say indica, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna go to sleep, or if it's sativa, it's necessarily gonna give you that energy boost. That just means that's where it leans that way. The plant just so happens to lean that way, and we put that on the label. So you kind of like that also goes back to education, and I just think that's the way that our market's just going to be. It's not going to be it's not going to be a hype beast thing. Right now, the fad is just kind of what has the best bag appeal, and I think it's just going to just switch from what looks good to what actually is good for my body.
So, all right, and then you actually led me into something else here, because now I'm thinking about the education piece and even some of the words Doc was using. Tucky, talk to me about your corner weed guy versus someone actually having a storefront. And to Myell's point, like this particular strain is going to be for giving you an energy boost. This was going to bring you down. Tucky, talk to me about that. How that the difference between your corner weed guy and a professional.
So what's crazy is, and my clients would tell you this, has been dealing with me since I was 16. I was on that shit way back then. I would let you know what the weed gonna do to you because I had to test it. It had to go through me for me to be able to sell it to you. So I would always I would have people who literally, like, when I went to the turf, I was not a turf kind of seller because I want to talk to you about the weed and tell you what's going on with it and what it's gonna do to you. They want to get in and out. They're like, bro, this is not how you sell weed. So,
that's not how that goes.
You know, that's not how that normally goes. So I feel it's all in your approach. If you approach selling cannabis on the street as just solely just that, that's where you will remain. Period. If that's your goal is to just sell weed on the street, that's where you're going to remain. I never had that goal. My goal was to be a business. I never felt this should be illegal. No, I never knew that these days were coming back then. But I just felt like if I'm going to do it, I don't want to go to jail. This is illegal. I can't go to jail for doing this, so I have to move differently. But if you choose to only do it in the street, you're going to go to jail. But the knowledge aspect that you're supposed to have, for me, if I'm giving something to you to put in your system that I want you to come back to me and continuously buy, I have to stand behind that product. I have to know about that product. I don't want to just tell you, hey, it's purple weed, buy it. No, you need to know that it's clean. It's, you know, we didn't know about testing back then, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to hold on it. I was on stuff like that back then. You know what I mean? So for me, education was always key. That's why I went to Oaksterdam when I did. Like, I kid you not, I got laughed at for going to Oaksterdam. It was $300 for the whole session. It was like a 3-month session. They taught you legal. All this was probably 215 days. For those that don't know, this was, you know, the other legal era, but it was a weed school. I graduated from there and have a degree from there. And now they charge like $1,600 to go there. And I paid $300. You know,
it's getting crazy.
Education was key for me because I knew what I wanted to do with weed. So that's what people got like Myell shit. Everybody said, Doc, people got to realize you got to know what you want to get into this space for. And plant touching is not it. Everybody cannot grow and sell weed. I just so happen to be a unicorn. I can do both and have been able to do so for a long time. Everybody can't do that. Growing and selling weed are the two hardest things to do in the legal cannabis realm and in the street realm. You know what I'm saying? So people have to understand there's other things you can do. So, I mean, you can make lighters for cannabis stores. I mean, there's so much you can do. But you can make like all these things have been given to me or bought for me because of weed related. Like I have weed, my own dominoes now. Like this is, you can be somebody that makes these for people. You have to, you know, think hard. You know, think about other things to do besides growing and selling, but it's going to take people like us that look like us to be able to let them know that there's other options. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the first thing I hear. Y'all, if y'all can see my inbox, is how can I get a dispensary? I don't the fuck know. You have to like work. I mean, you know, I can't help you get a dispensary. You know what I'm saying? And why don't you do this? So it's just, you know, putting that message out there, and knowledge is key in anything. Any job that you take on, any career path that you pick, you should have knowledge. Like this is not in my bio or whatever, but I type 90 words a minute. I worked for Alameda County for like 13, 14 years on and off, all different county work. I was a secretary basically for hella years. So I know Microsoft, PowerPoint, all of that. Learn your craft or whatever you get into so you can have skills and be marketable to do other things. But don't just come in and think you're just going to be able to sell weed and you're going to get rich. It does not happen.
Doesn't work like that, right? I've had some nephews come at me now. Hopefully they watching this because hey, yo, Barry, man, I'm trying to get into the weed game, and I'm like, well, man, I can tell you one thing. I don't know enough about it to even help you. So, well, you know, it's on one thing you have to educate yourself. So you got to find education. Now, I want to take a break here for a second. There's been a brother on that's been following us. I want to say thank you very much for Mr. David Dewberry. And he just put out something. He says, Florida, $75 for the license, $180 for the doctor's visit for the prescription, roughly 3.5 grams for $40, set amount of units for a 7-month time frame, total amount of units, 17,000, which equates to 2 pounds per 7 months. And then he put in there, knowledge is power.
That's ridiculous. So in Florida, they tell you how much you can have for a year. They like
just popped up, yeah.
But you know what though? If they're treating it like it's medical, then that may be the caveat because you do get medical limits on opioids. I wonder is that the rationalization there? Because I've never heard of nothing like that before.
Yeah,
man. Then this is why I love having these type of conversations because now we're getting things from, and he just responded, yes, that's exactly what he was talking about.
Yeah.
So
every state's different, you know.
But like it goes back, not to cut you off, Doc, that goes back to getting the laws. And this is so crazy because it applies to what I did with my new structure, with my new deal. You have to get these documents worded the way they need to be before they are signed.
Yeah.
Like Doc said, once that gavel go down or once that final signature is done, there's nothing
you can do.
The president, the only person probably can change it. and then it still has to go through who Congress. People, a lot of people, and this is so crazy that this comes up a lot. A lot of people tend to forget democracy is for the people. We vote who we want in these spaces. So if we don't vote,
right,
want to craft the laws that we want, we're not going to get in those rooms. So by the time it's a law, there's nothing you can do about it. Like, and it's like they're missed the boat. Like, did y'all forget? But I think they have stopped teaching. Now I talk to my kids about it all the time. I got teenagers and then older kids. They don't really pump voting in schools like they used to, or knowing about checks and balances and the government and how that's structured. So it's kind of like been a lost thing, and we see it now with how stuff is being done. But yeah, that sounds crazy. But Florida, that's Florida, but that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
indeed. So, Myell, go ahead, brother. You had something to say?
Oh no.
I thought you was like, "Hey, man, I got something to say, man."
No.
You adjusting your cap. Okay, you adjusting the brim.
There's no uniformity,
Not at all.
So in all the states that have a rec program, medical program, what the audience and what people need to understand, federal law is federal law. Cannabis is still a Schedule I drug, right? Illegal. States have the right to interpret federal law. So that's what Cali's done. That's what Mississippi has done. That's what New York has done. That's what Georgia has done and Florida's done. But we all interpret the law differently. And states are learning, the up and coming states are learning from the states that have passed, like California 96, Colorado. We're learning, vertical models, horizontal models. And really, when a state, because I was involved, the new states, what you're trying to do when they do this. So that's what they're doing. Like, look, man, we want to avoid lawsuits. We want to get a cannabis out here, a cannabis program that's fair. But patients have been waiting. They don't want ex-Georgians. You don't want I call them medical marijuana refugees. You don't want them leaving their states to go to a state where it's more cannabis friendly, or where their kid can stop seizing, or their kid can maybe have a potential cure for their leukemia, or their sickle cell kid can have less crises, So it's very, very, every state's just different, There's no uniformity. That's what I'm trying to say. That's the problem with the cannabis in this country.
I got two comments from that just came in. One from Antoine Hines in Virginia. On July 1st, they will allow you 4 plants in your house.
I heard that. I'm trying to get some more Virginia too. So
that's hard. That's hard.
And David Dewberry, again, the governor of Florida's wife, was on the tour of investors. They are investors in True Leaf. Yeah. So
it's not supposed to happen, but
of course they're going, but all that can be stopped with who you vote in.
Yeah.
I mean, period. Really, like, we have to take responsibility as Americans for that with regards to who we put in office. Now, granted, we're not talking about the gentleman who's posting himself, but I'm just saying, as a whole, we have the right to vote who we want into office. That's going to lobby for the things that we want. If we remove that right from ourselves and don't vote, we're doing a disservice. And cannabis needs all the vote we can get. And then what's crazy is a lot of these people that were against it are now for it now. You know what I mean? It's like, ooh, I can make some money off of it. Oh, there's nothing wrong with it.
So that's the frustrating thing, is it comes down to, there's bread in it. So we'll jump on it. So how do you find the people that are actually for cannabis for the right reasons? That's one of my frustrations with the whole voting process.
So for me, what I've been noticing is just good people navigate normally to good people. It just happens. But you can always tell who are the fuck boys or fuck girls because of how their businesses is going on. You look at a lot of these big brands that have came out and then have just gone away, never seen them again, or they've changed names, or they've done this, or they've done that. That's because they've had people that ran them that had no experience in anything cannabis related. They're, techies, nothing wrong with that, but they're doing their own. They're coming over here trying to do this and are falling by the wayside. You understand what I'm saying? And that's
right.
It's the only brand that I know right now that can F up and still thrive is Cookies. That's the only brand I know. Shout out to Burner. That's the only brand I know right now.
Nah, for sure.
Hey,
Sure.
bounce back from it right now. Black brands, we don't have that option. You understand what I'm saying? Black companies in the cannabis space, we don't have that option. There's some brands that I know and stand behind that I know for a fact if they had something happen with them, I know they could bounce back, but we don't. We thrive on us not having that option. So we have to make sure everything is on point. Like for me to be able to open again after what happened with all that stuff that happened, that's huge. You know what I'm saying? We know everybody don't get them second chances, but that's just the drive in me. And what I've like getting back to what Myell asked, I find myself running into those people that are like-minded like me. Or if they're not exactly where I'm at, they want to get around and absorb so they can be there. And then I'm seeking out people that I can absorb from too and learn from. You know what I'm saying? So those people naturally gravitate toward each other. And then at the end of the day, I mean, keeping the band, fuck shit always shows itself. It always pans out at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? And the brands that are going to thrive are going to be the brands that are really, really real, not just on Instagram, but real in real life and real with their customers and real with their fan bases. And that comes through in your product. You know what I'm saying? So.
Hello, I got a question for you because Tucky, you brought it up. Doc, you mentioned it. So Myell, do you find that you and your peers are advocates and are voting on a regular basis?
I say yes and no. I say more so advocates, but not really on the voting side because again, like we don't really have faith in it. So I just see more so the advocacy and just a push for legalization, decriminalization, and just normalcy for the plan. And yeah, I think it's more so on my generation. We have a bigger responsibility to get in the voting process, and I think it's just a little intimidating because it's so much. If you don't know,
yeah,
like if you don't know where to start, it's just an intimidating process. So
that's you. How old, Myell?
I'm 25.
If you don't mind me, 25.
25. I'll be 20.
That's our fault, I guess. You know, I'll take that.
It's crazy. Like I remember
our leadership. It's poor leadership.
I remember being in high school and could not wait to turn 18 to vote. That was like it was 16 driving, 18 vote, 21 drink. Those are the three things that we at that. I remember that. And like I just be talking to my kids, they have no interest in voting. I'm like, dude, do you like because it's not talked about in school, and then we're not talking about
it. I remember my senior year when they were trying to get us all registered to vote, it was kind of like a thing like register to vote, like I want to do that, later in life. I'm not worried about that right now. I'm 18.
Yeah.
So,
and Tucky, to your point, I'm 46, so a lot of our parents, my parents fled the South. They grew up in segregation, integration. So that's all you heard growing up as a kid. Voting is important, man. What we had to do to vote, man. And, Selma, the bridge, the riots, they lived it. So that's all we heard, the reason why I didn't smoke is because Black people couldn't, that's for them. If you smoke, you're gonna go to jail. Like Barry's saying his dad, it wasn't just there, we grew up in an era where, your mom and dad regularly told you, man, you got to be 3 times better than a white person.
Facts.
And you heard it every day.
Every day. It didn't stop. The level of anxiety from that alone should drove me to smoke.
For the same chance, you got to be 3 times better.
Right. And people don't realize.
Yeah. And it's real, but our parents was kicking the real shit to us.
Right. But
then we have kids and we kind of want to sugarcoat shit. And it's just poor leadership,
People don't realize too.
Yeah, it's on us it's on us, bro.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. People don't realize too what that does to you as a child. I didn't realize till I was older that is a form of PTSD. Like to feel like you have to live your life to be 3 times better than somebody else that you don't even know. Like that's some cold shit, man.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, we don't want
to wake up at 8 and be like, damn, I gotta do better than the white kids. I don't know what I gotta do, but like I gotta do that.
Myell, real shit. And it's like he's saying, it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure, man. Carrying that load of the race, right? So we don't want you. We didn't want you to carry that, bro, because it's tough enough. You feel me? But I don't know.
No. You speaking, Doc, you started something because it's funny now. Look, we're gonna bring this back to cannabis. We're gonna bring this back to world. But I think it's important for us to talk about this because the same thing happened with my son. My son's 23 years old, and it became important when he saw the world changing. So I remember, again, my pops is heavily influenced on me. Hey man, vote Democrat. Get in there and vote Democrat because they for us. But it wasn't until I became of a certain age and I started seeing things and was like, you know what? This is not always the best candidate for us because based on this track record, man, this Democrat dude, he a little shaky, man. And then you see them in the street. So I know what I'm registered as, but at the same time, I'm all about the research. Now, to Myell, to your generation, I will say you guys have more resources and access to information than we ever did, ever to research, who you want. And you know what? The problem with that, it becomes too big. We used to get the little thing that came in the mail and you was like, all right, I'm gonna vote all Democrat and just check. Now everything's in your phone and you can just go into a rabbit hole and never come out. So, and I'm putting on this hat because I want you to be that person to help bring about your generation. Because what we're talking here is we need to be at those tables, but we can't be at those tables if we outside protesting.
Yep.
I mean, you need both. You need to make sure folks are uncomfortable, but at the same time, you need some folks in there that's making some decisions at the same time to make sure we are part of this. Because I didn't know about that Illinois piece where it was no black folks at all.
They promised that crap. They promised equity like Maryland, like DC.
Yeah,
like
well,
the rest of the cities.
Not a thing.
They promised.
Man, so like I'm counting on you because I can't be on the front lines anymore. But I can be at the seat of the table, But I need you and your generation to like make sure. Hey, man, we need to make sure that we're everywhere we need to be. But all right, I digress. I'm changing it back up. I'm coming on back home. So, all right. So I said this earlier. For the longest time I was a drinker. My first introduction was a chef cannabis party, so to speak. So all the food was infused. It was a 7-course meal. I love telling this story because it's a story I will always tell because I don't know how I haven't forgotten about it. Because when we walked through the door, we got a little juice. So, oh, this is cool. At the time, we was filming a show. And I can tell you right now, I'm not even going to fast forward to the end. That show did not air because of after what happened the second and third and fourth course. So I can tell you, while the chef was amazing, I mean, everything was infused from the butter to the bread to the veggies to the meats. Now, I don't remember getting in the car. I remember my wife and I were driving home. I was driving. And I remember at some point I looked over at her and was like, hey, you're supposed to be staying awake and keeping me awake. Talk to me. And she said, I am awake, but her eyes were closed. But then at some point, I look up and say, oh, man, where are we? Now, I know how to get home. I got home on muscle memory, but I took a ramp and I didn't recognize the ramp. So I was like, I think we're lost. Now, her eyes are still closed, talking about how you get lost going to your own house. And now, granted, we can laugh about this now. We get home, my dear sister-in-law is watching my babies, and that was the first time I ever walked and saw my eyes. It was probably the color of these letters right here. And my first thought was, now it's 1:00 in the morning. Maybe I should put some sunglasses on so she won't see my eyes as I drive her home in the middle of the night. Thought process wasn't going. I mean, I had enough to be like, all right, maybe not. So I just didn't look her in the eye. Got her home, and remember coming back, and I had a course to teach the next day, and I was teaching this class, and I'm gonna tell you, I was still feeling it that I had told them, look, man, I'm still high. It's 10:00 in the morning. I'm like, man, I'm still feeling the effects of this right now to our class. So my question to you is, how do you introduce a novice into
Please
the
let me
world?
go. Please let me go first. Let me go.
Tucky first, Doc, you second.
I was like, I kind of want to take that. Go ahead.
Okay.
Tucky.
No.
That's awesome story. Thank you, Barry. You and your wife, man. Y'all some real ones for that.
First off, I've heard stories like that since 2002 nonstop. Because with me selling weed cookies, and those cookies back then were a total different level of cookie that you go buy in a store now. So those stories are always excellent. But when I started selling weed pastries, for me, how I introduced everybody to it, first I would eat it myself. I would take a chunk. Back then, when I was selling weed cookies 01, 02, 03, we didn't really know about dosing. You just buy a cookie and eat the motherfucker. You eat it, you damn near dead. You sleep, knocked out, whatever. So I'm like, okay, I learned how to dose myself just by piecing it up. So then what I would do, I cut pieces, have like 4 of my homeboys come over, we'd eat, I gauge them, but I would always tell them how to eat it. Once I, use my little rat test and I had them all be the little rat dummies and we was all be high together, but it worked. I knew how to tell people how to eat it. So whenever anybody would buy pastries from me, allegedly, I always would tell them, hey, this is how much you can eat. This is how much this is worth. Do this. Take this amount. How much do you smoke? Or I smoke this or I don't. Okay, this is how much you need. Every single time they ate more than they were supposed to. So then I'm getting the calls. Tucky, I can't get out of my system. I didn't know then, but I know that your chef should have had at the party. Shout out to Chef Nikki because we didn't know.
Yeah.
D brings you right back up. But we didn't know that back then. So I'm laughing. Like I've had people literally leave from a house, go maybe about 6-7 blocks. Candy, I hope you're not on here, but go about 6-7 blocks from where we're at.
Yeah.
Get lost and call the police on themselves because they didn't know how to get back to where we was at.
Oh my God. Worse.
So
terrible.
It's only I learned how to dose by dosing others, and then I learned that okay, you can do So that's just. But you got to warn people when you said the butter, the bread, everything. I said they need. All was going through my mind was CBD, but I didn't know that until about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
So I've been where you are. You know what I'm saying? Like fully. My wife don't even fuck with edibles no more. She could her limbs one time, and she was like, "No, that's enough for me. I can't feel my legs. I'm telling my legs to move. I can't."
And look, I had to get up and be an adult the next day, man. My wife's leg was laid out, man. She was just, no, I'm just gonna lay here. I'm not gonna do nothing. So,
All right, Doc. Go ahead. My bad,
go ahead, Doc. Go ahead, Doc.
So, like everyone's been there. So, what the bud tenders need to do and when the doctors make recommendations, because edibles are great. Kids love the edibles. They got a great taste, people for chronic pain. You don't want a pediatric population pulling the vape or telling him to smoke a joint. They usually do tinctures. Correct. They do edibles. So you say, hey, look. And even for people that smoke all day, every day, even if they dab all day, every day, you got to say, hey, listen, your body does something. You can take the drug and it does something to your body, but your body does something to the drug. And that's called pharmacokinetics. You understand? And so people are like, oh shit, okay, let me listen to you. And you're gonna say, okay, look at this joint. We all smoke J's, right? The peak level of THC in your blood, right? And people can understand this. When you hit it, it's gonna happen within 3 to 10 minutes. And like, okay, so you pull to effect. It's great, You might have some pain, or you might be seasoned, or you might have a Crohn's episode, or you might feel like you're getting a sickle cell crisis. You can go ahead and spark something real fast, and that can mitigate those symptoms. So you say also when you smoke this thing, this is going to cross the blood-brain barrier really fast within 3 to 10 minutes, and you're going to feel this psychoactivity of this cannabis. And that's, you feel this so-called high. It's going to be out your system in 3 hours. Don't worry about it. Right? But then you say, hey, man, when you take an edible, that's different, right? This is not inhalation now. I got to eat it. So what people don't know, it takes up to 90 minutes to feel it. So you taking that chocolate like I ain't feeling shit. And now you're stacking. You set
yeah,
yourself up for cannabis intoxication. And what you got to tell the bud tenders out there that want to be bud tenders, my caregivers, my practitioners, you got to let them know, hey, look, when you ingest cannabinoids and cannabis, that THC, when it hits your liver, is going to get hydroxylated. And they're going to be like, they can understand that because your body does something to the drug, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to hydroxylate that THC. And boy, when that crosses your blood-brain barrier, it's 4 times more potent than THC. And like, oh shit, man, this is strong enough. This is strong enough. And guess what, bro? This ain't no 3-hour ride. It's 4 times more potent. So when that THC is around floating, it's going to say, get off me, man. I'm going to stick to that receptor, your CB1 receptor. Strong affinity. You can't break it, bro.
Mm-hmm.
That THC can't break it because that hydroxylated THC is so strong. And guess what? I'm going to hold on up to 24 hours.
Yep.
Yeah, I can attest to that. Yeah.
And that patient caregiver can explain to their kids edibles versus inhalation.
Thank you, man.
Easy.
Thank you, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Myell, give me your version, brother.
So when I was in the shop, it kind of depends on how we going about it. Are we trying to take a dab? Are we smoking a joint? Are we eating edibles? And then so I tell everybody, like, if you're eating an edible before they get out of there, I'm like, hey, you might want to eat something fatty because that THC needs something to bind to, or else you're gonna call my shop in about 30 minutes or an hour and be like, man, I didn't feel nothing. Hold on, just wait, go eat something, and then call me back and you'll feel it. With the joint, I don't know, it's different with the joint because I'm kind of a nerd of mine. I go off of like, are we doing? Do you want tight airflow? Depending on how you roll it, it's how it's gonna hit you. But I also tell them however much you roll, that's however much that you're going to intake, and your body going to intake so much THC. So you think that you'll be able to face that 3.5 blunt or joint, your tolerance might not be able to handle that. So maybe you might need to draw back to a gram.
True.
So yeah, or even like with the dabs, when people would tell me if they're not getting hot from their dabs, are you taking it too hot? Because if you're taking a hot dab, then you're just burning it up to nothing.
Yep.
And most people are taking their dabs at 700, 800 degrees and be like, man, it just hurts. That's not supposed to hurt. That's never supposed to hurt. It's never supposed to feel like your chest is on fire.
Yeah. Let me clear up 2 myths. Can I clear up 2 myths?
Please do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your body you can become THC intoxicated, Myell. So your people, like he said, mention fat. And the reason why he's mentioned fat is because cannabis is lipophilic. It loves fat. So any drug, if you take a Z-Pack, if you take a CBD, or you take this gummy, or you smoke this joint, your body is only going to get 10 to 15%. You're not getting all this joint. You're not getting all the cannabinoids in it. You're only going to get 10 to 15%. Mm-hmm. We're trying to formulate drugs now, like me, so you can get more bioavailability without the side effects. So you can take as much, you can do like a 7-course meal and you will have severe cannabis intoxication, you know? And Tucky, CBD will not bring the high down. That's another myth.
Okay. So what is it doing?
Okay. If you understand CBD doesn't hit the CB1 receptor like THC does.
Okay.
You feel me?
Right.
So CB1 is responsible for the high, the psychoactivity. There's only one drug that was made in Europe, Rimonabant, and it was about to be FDA approved. That was a true CB1 antagonist. It blocked THC from coming on. You dig what I'm saying? But guess what happens? People became severely depressed, suicidal, because we have an endogenous cannabis in us, and that's anandamide. THC mimics anandamide, but it's way stronger, something naturally in our body that makes you feel good. So if you block the CB1 receptor, obviously you're going to feel like shit. So the drug never became approved. It was taken off the market. But we're trying to formulate CB1 antagonist, something that, hey, if I get too high, like a Narcan, Narcan is when someone overdoses on heroin or any opioid, right? Roxy's takes too much of that shit. Narcan is a drug you stab and it blocks that receptor. That's the only way. That's how we're trying to come off a high. You got to block that receptor from THC from ever jumping on it. You dig?
Yes.
I just want to clear up those two myths.
Yo, man, we're gonna have to do like a whole training video, man.
Oh, no,
Seriously.
definitely. Oh, and then I would also ask, as far as ingestion, when we're doing edibles, what kind of edibles? Is it a tincture? Is it a pill? Is it a gummy? Is it a chocolate? Is it CO2? Is it rosin?
Yeah.
So
all those make a difference, obviously.
Yeah,
definitely for sure. Like the rosin gummy compared to a distillate gummy is like, I always tell people, like, a rosin gummy feels like 110 milligram rosin gummy feels like a 30 milligram for me.
That's good.
That's a good. Yeah.
And, wow. and really one last point too, everyone is different. Everyone has their own
Everybody's different.
ECS, endocannabinoid system. So what works for Myell works for Myell. What works for Barry is gonna work for Barry. What works for me, where everyone has a difference, like your fingerprint.
Yep.
So we have to stop assuming that, like, look, hey, this works for my pain. Something high in myrcene obviously is going to be indica because it's over 0.5. I don't care what the name. It's an indica. Like, it's got to be. No, that's for me. So pharma tried this $1 trillion healthcare system wants to think that one pill fits all,
and it doesn't.
They're smarter than that. Our parents, the baby boomers, fell for that. Gen Z. The young folks, nah, man, nah. I'm different. They're smarter consumers. You see what I'm saying? So we're gonna start weed off ethically, and that is by telling the truth, bro. You feel me?
Facts.
My last question for the night, fellas.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing for 420?
Oh man.
Myell, we'll start off with you first. Myell's first. Okay. Doc, you second. Tucky, you bring us home, brother.
So first of all, smoking a bunch of weed, dabbing a bunch of rosin, but we also Malik hand rolls. We're doing a heady tip drop. So noodle joints. That's what I also forgot to mention about the company. So they're noodle joints. So it's also smoke, so you get a smoother hit. But we're gonna do heady glass tips, and then we're gonna do a special drop of that. So that's how my company is looking. So my week's pretty crazy. I'm rolling a bunch of weed, getting ready for that.
Getting ready.
yeah, getting ready.
Oh yeah.
Doc, what about you, man?
I'll probably try to get some special strain, something that's dope, something that's crazy. And then I like to do like a challenge cone, something huge. I'm gonna do a talk with Hope Wiseman. You guys know Hope Wiseman. So She's having the 420 experience. She's the youngest African American female dispensary owner. So y'all follow Mary in Maine. It's the name of her dispensary.
Mary in Maine.
Yeah.
Maryland? Is that in Maryland?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Down the street from me. I know exactly where that is.
Yeah. So that's Black owned. She's doing her 420 experience. Tap into that. But when that's done, I'm getting blown for sure, man.
In the sky.
Yeah, I have a huge tolerance, so it's hard for me to get the psychoactivity. I got on concentrates because of my pain, and once, we'll talk about it some other show, but their tolerance does happen with cannabis, with all drugs.
Definitely.
There's downsides of all drugs. There's good sides of all drugs. So, if you're a chronic dabber, that's a joint is just because you have a smoking habit at that point. So, I'm a big concentrate. Diamonds is my thing right now. Tucky know what it is. He got blown when he touched down to Atlanta. He know.
Iron lung.
So Tucky, man, you look like you got all prepped up and everything, man.
I had to.
Like, what's happening with you? 420, man. Look, you moving stuff, unplugging stuff.
These are the Smoking Vultures. Collab I did with Side Collective.
Ooh, this is hot, bro.
Raindrop and Simply Green.
Oh man, pull back. Hold on, let me see that.
Hold on. All right, so yeah, I got my Simply Green dropping.
Congrats, bro.
Thank you. And then so I gotta show y'all what the shoe do real quick. So what we did was took his logo, which normally goes like this. We flipped it to where my logo is smoking his logo. So where's the smoke, you ask? Be right back.
He needs to be right back.
Be right back. I hear something.
When the shoe hits 70 degrees, this whole black panel turns to smoke.
Oh, that's just hard.
That's fire.
That's hot.
Fire.
And then inside of the shoe got a little quote about me, you know, who I am and whatnot, about being the equity. But yeah, this is dropping 420 along with another shoe of his, which is a Smoking Vulture V2 Low. We got Two Shorts Cannabis dropping that day, so he should be there that day. It's just, man, it's gonna be my first 420 in a year, 2 years, because we didn't have one last year. So I'm excited. I have a fucking shoe, y'all. A shoe.
That's tight.
Congratulations, brother. Congratulations, man. Well done.
The shoe's hard, bro. The shoe is hard, bro.
That's hot, man. That's hot. Hey, listen, fellas, I want to say thank you very much for being part of this conversation. Thank you for the education. Thank you for the insight. Thank you for all you do. Look, man, this has been an amazing experience. For those of you that have been following us, make sure they can continuously follow these gentlemen on their journey, because they are doing some amazing things. They are breaking down barriers. They are the leaders in their industry, and we just want to salute them and say thank you. So again, from the Black Fathers Group, we appreciate you folks. Y'all be good.
Bless.
Thank you.